Pokemon Blaze Back 2 Redux is easily the most difficult Pokemon game I ever attempted to Nuzlocke. This ROM hack created by AphexCubed and Drayano features some of the most meticulously designed and brutally challenging boss fights I've ever seen. To make things even tougher, I'm playing on challenge mode. That means even the first gym leader Cheren has a full team of 6, turning the early game into a relentless gauntlet. But it doesn't stop there. It's also packed with double and triple battles, making team building and strategy even more demanding. And as if that wasn't enough, I'm doing a hardcore Nuzlocke. I can only catch the first Pokemon I encounter on each route, and if one faints, it's gone forever. The rest of the rules are on screen now and listed in the description below. So without wasting any more time, let's begin our journey through the beautiful and brutal Unova region. As usual, we kick off our adventure by picking our starter Pokemon. Since every mon has received some kind of buff, all 3 starters are totally viable. But I went with Knuckles the Tepig. Why? Because I know we'll be facing some nasty matchups. Roxy's Half-Bug Battalion, Bryson's Icy Squad, and of course, Berg's Swarmer Pests. Plus, once Tepig evolves into Pignite, it gets ground typing instead of fighting, which will be super helpful for Elise's brutal triple battle later on. Then, right after leaving our hometown, we immediately stumble into a Jirachi encounter, which of course we can't catch, because that would just be way too broken. No, come back! With that painful loss behind us, we move on to Route 19, where we catch Moto the Cricketer. He's crack early game, evolves early, and dishes out Technician boosted damage. I think that guy's leg is gone. Once we hit Flotchessy Town, we're able to pick our Elemental Monkey. Since we chose Tepig, we're given Antone the Pansage. Next up is Route 20, where we catch Blaze the Lotad. Great typing, good utility, and a solid candidate for a late game rain sweeping. And finally, over at Flotchessy Ranch, we catch Amy the Houndour. And yes, she comes with Intimidate. With as much prep as possible, it's time to face our rival Eggman. And surprise, surprise, he's cocky as ever. But we all know how this ends. The harder they flex, the harder they fall. He lives with a Tailo running all physical moves, so I sent Amy to drop its attack with Intimidate. 2-stab bites and the bird is down. Next up is his Oshawott, which threatens with water type moves, so I switched to Blaze. Thanks to the grassy terrain, Nature Power turns to an 80 power Seed Bomb, and after 2 of those, the Seed Otter gets launched straight into the Shadow Realm. And while we're at it, Pansy can join him too. 1 Water Pulse and he's cooked. With our rival out of the way, we can finally grab our 6th and final encounter before the first gym. And this one's a little special. It comes from a mystery egg we get from the breeder at Flotchessy Ranch. And because AphexCubed made Expertia Gate count as its own unique location, that egg hatches into a totally legal Nuzlocke encounter, an adorable little Pichu. One of the biggest changes in this game isn't just harder fights, it's the number of mandatory ones. And the Team Plasma Grunt at Flotchessy Ranch is easily one of the most dangerous early battles. He opens with Meanfu and Intimidate Growlithe in a forced double battle. I live with Amy to match Intimidate, but since her moves are mostly physical, I pivot to Cream, who takes a Fake Out. Meanwhile, Blade hits Growlithe with Stand Water Pulse for solid damage. On the next turn, Cream uses Disarming Voice to chip both targets, and Blaze finishes off Growlithe with another Water Pulse. Meanfu answers back with a strong Vital Throw, but Cream survives and Static paralyzes him in return. Joltik enters next. Cream's too low to stay in, so I switch to Knuckles, who takes a Struggle Bug, lowering our special attack. Because of that drop, Blaze's Water Pulse doesn't KO Meanfu, and both opponents lands another round of hits. Even so, Knuckle one-shots Joltik with Flame Charge, and Blaze finishes off Meanfu right after. Last up it's Axew. I don't want to risk Knuckles or Blaze at this point, so I bring out Antone and Moto. Axew goes for a Rock Tomb and misses, giving us the perfect opening to outspeed and take it down in 2 hits. It's a fight that can spiral fast, but this time, everything worked out. On our way back to Aspertia for the real challenge, I managed to pick up a Muscle Band. A nice boost that'll definitely come handy for what's next. Before facing the gym leader, we actually get the option to battle the Hoenn gym leaders. But since that's completely optional, I'm not taking that risk. We got a solid team, and I'm not about to lose anyone before the first badge. Heading into the fight against Cheren and his full team of 6, I'm honestly terrified. He leads with Porygon, who has Trace. To avoid giving it anything dangerous, I leave with Knuckles, whose Sheer Force is harmless when copied. With a Muscle Band boost, 2 Flame Charge knocks it out, no damage taken. Next is Apom, who threatens with Water Pulse boosted by a Water Gem. I pivot into Blaze to core resist, but instead, Apom goes for Work Up. This is terrifying, as Stab Double Hit could destroy us. I get a quick Fake Out for Chip, then swap to Amy for the Intimidate. But Apom just boosts again. Anticipating Water Pulse, I rotate back into Blaze. This cycle continues, Chip, Intimidate, repeat until Apom finally attacks. But instead of Double Hit, it uses Water Pulse. On Amy, she goes down instantly. Our first death. Blaze then returns to finish the monkey, and again, no double hit, just another Water Pulse. I don't know what the AI is doing, but I'm not complaining. Lillipup is next. With Retaliate now doing double damage, I need my bulkiest mon. Moto comes in, he tanks the hit, activates his Oranberry, and fires off a huge Bug Buzz. One more seals the deal. Then comes Munchlax, a huge threat. Rock Tomb is incoming, so I pivot into Blaze, and Munchlax misses. I hit back with Fake Out and follow up with a crit Water Pulse, but it barely does anything. I can't risk a tackle crit, so I switch to Cream. She takes a Rock Tomb but still outspeed and hit back with a Spark. It brings him under half, activate his Oranberry, and he strikes back hard. We trade hits again, but Cream falls. That's 2 down. Knuckles finished the tank with a clean Flame Charge. Cheren sends out Dealing. It takes our Flame Charge with an Occa Berry and hits back with Tackle. We survive and another Flame Charge drops it. Last up, Doduo. It uses work up as we chip it into the red, but now it's faster and more powerful, and with sheer force removing the speed boost from flame charge, there's no way we outspeed. The duo threatens to sweep the rest of our team. I make the call, I send in Antone as a sacrifice. He tanks one hit, but not the second. Now, only Blaze and Moto remain. The duo outspeeds both, and with Air Ace, either could fall. I send in Moto, our fastest hitter, but the AI outplays us again. With Quick Attack and with Silk Scarf, Moto is toast. Back into a corner, I send in Knuckles, the only one left with enough health to stand a chance. They'll do a quick attacks. We survive with 3 HP. I cannot be any happier. One final flame charge takes it out. Victory is ours, but at a cost. Our first badge, stained by sacrifice, earned through pain, loss, and the kind of death I thought I could avoid. At this point, I was starting to get nervous. 4 Pokemon already in the death box. To lift our spirits, Cheren gave us a fishing rod, which would definitely come in handy later. After arriving in Verbank City, we headed into a random stranger's house, because that's just what we do in Pokemon. We found an NPC offering one of the cannon starters. It was a tough choice, but I went with Tails the Bulbasaur. With its poison typing, it's going to be clutch against a toxic spike in the upcoming gym. Next stop, Verbank Complex for another encounter. There are a ton of great options here, and we get lucky with Silver the Magnemite. A steel type this early, absolute perfection. But then, I noticed something weird. Silver was caught in a place called Faraway Place, which technically isn't the same as Verbank Complex. And that means another encounter. This time, we add Jet the Spirit to the squad. At this point, I've gotten every encounter I possibly can, which means it's time to go for a second gym badge against Roxy. But this fight is no joke. She's packing 2 bulky Evilite Pokemon, a hard-hitting Life Orb Ghastly, and a bag of dirty tactics. The nightmare begins with a Trubbish, who immediately sets up toxic spikes. If you let this spread across your team, her Venoshock will start doing double damage. Basically, a death sentence. Thankfully, after the setup, we go for a Fake Out plus One-Shot combo with Blaze, bypassing the Focus Sash and securing the KO. Next is Whirlipede. I immediately pivot into Tails, who absorbs a Toxic Spike to clear them, huge play. Then, we swap into Knuckles. This fight drags, with Whirlipede stalling behind Protect and even flinching us with Steamroller. But eventually, after a few flame charges, we bring her down. Third comes to Intimidate Quillfish. Predicting an Aqua Jet, I swap into Blaze, who quad resist it. We start with Fake Out for a chip, then try for a Mud Shot, but Quillfish lands a boosted Venoshock first, and it hurts. Still, Blaze takes it surprisingly well, and the Mud Shot drops his speed. We go for another one, and it doesn't finish him off. But somehow, Blaze survives the next hit with just 2 HP. Since Quillfish has priority Aqua Jet, I had to swap out. In comes Jet, who cleans up with a quick attack. Next is Coughing. Since it only deals neutral damage to Jet, I go for a couple stab airway aces, bringing it to about half health. Unfortunately, we can't finish it before risking a crit, so I pivot into Silver, who's immune to poison. This base has a Lava Plume, and I bring in Knuckles, who eats the fire hit easily. Still, this thing's Evilite makes it bulky, so I take 2 flame charges to finally bring it down, leaving Knuckles deep in the danger zone. Fifth is Ivysaur. He likely outspeed us, so I pivot into Silver, who's completely unaffected by his moves. I thought this would be an easy win, and in a way, it was, but not for us. Thanks to Leech Seed plus Black Sludge, Ivysaur's healing more than we can damage. With Silver slowly getting drained, I'd use Protect for a free switch into Jet. Jet lands a big hit to bring Ivysaur into the red, and thanks to a lucky paralysis proc, we finish him off on the next turn. Last is a Ghastly with a Life Orb. We can't one-shot this thing, so I send in Silver, who takes a predicted Venoshock like a champ. But now, we're in survival mode. Everyone is too low to take more than 1 hit. Our only option is to sack teammates, letting the Life Orb chip Ghastly down until someone can finish the job. Silver makes the first sacrifice. Then, I send in Tails, hoping his bulk can save us. But we get crit by Hex, another one down. It's all or nothing. I send in Jet, the only one fast enough to potentially outrun this monster. I go for a stab arrow ace, it hits, critical hit. Ghastly is down. That was way too close for comfort, but we made it out with the second gym badge in hand. Losing 2 potential powerhouses on our team really hurts, so we desperately need more encounters to stay afloat. Yeah, we're not taking that guy in a fight. I'm out. But before we can head to Castelia City, there's one more obstacle, a battle against Bryson. He may have traded his gym badge for the big screen, but don't let that fool you. He's still no pushover. He opens with Snover, who holds an Occa Berry to reduce fire damage. I lead with Knuckles, and surprisingly, a quad effective flame charge still bypasses the berry and lends us the one-hit KO. Next is Shelter, who threatens with Water Pulse. I swap into Blaze, who quad resists it. We go for a Fake Out to chip some damage, then follow up with Nature Power, which turns into Tri Attack in this setting. 2 of those are enough to seal the deal. Then comes Cryogonal. I bring back in Knuckles, and a single flame charge absolutely melts it. Finally, it's Smoochum, surprisingly tricky with her Focus Sash, and she will outspeed us, so I pivot into Jet, who absorbs the expected Fake Out. Then, we strike back with 2 airway aces to take her down with no issues. With the imposter put in his place, we can finally set our sights on one of my favorite Pokemon cities of all time, Castelia City. This place opens up a ton of encounters that could make or break our run. And of course, the first person we talk to is the infamous Clown. This guy now offers us the Johto starters, and without a second thought, I grab Iblis the Cyndaquil. We'll need every advantage we can get before facing Berg, the Bug-type specialist. Next, we head north to Route 4, where we'll pick up Rosie the Sandile, and she's got Moxie, the ability that turns her into a true menace every time she secures a KO. Continuing the story, we make our way into the Castilia sewers, and there we catch Rogue the Zubat. Getting a flying type here is massive. This might actually be the most impactful encounter that we had so far. Right next door in the Relic Passage, we catch Sonic the Gibble. Unfortunately, he's got a modest nature, which isn't ideal for a physical attacker. But hey, it's a Gibble. You don't pass up a feature Garchomp. Then I head upstairs into Castilia Garden, where we find Bark the Roselia. He's already shaping up to be a clutch pick, especially since he knows Grass Whistle, which could be useful for future fights. Finally, I take some time to explore the city and scoop out a bunch of useful items, like a water stone and a charcoal. And with all the EXP gathered, we evolve the squad to the current maximum potential, ready for what lies ahead. With everything set, it's time for our third gym badge of the run, and this one's a double battle. Things are about to get messy. Berg leads with Intimidate Masquerain, now a bug water type, so it's no longer quad weak to rock. And then there's Mothim. I send up Bark and Rogue to kick things off. Right away, Rogue launches a stab wing attack, boosted by a muscle band, dealing great damage to Masquerain. The bug retaliates with Struggle Bug, powered up by a bug gem, hitting both our mons and dropping the special attack. Then Masquerain goes for Electro Web, but Bark dodges it, and in return, he lands a 55% Grass Whistle on Mothim. Absolute clutch. I targeted Mothim for sleep because it has Psybeam, which could be devastating. On the other hand, Masquerain is kind of a joke. I pivot Bark into Iblis, and a second wing attack from Rogue takes out Masquerain. Next up is Vespiquen, and she brings another Intimidate drop with her. With Rogue's attack weakened and the looming threat of Power Gem, I pivot her out for Sonic to tank hits. Unfortunately, Mothim wakes up immediately and lands a heavy Psybeam on Sonic. Meanwhile, Iblis starts stacking up with Rollout, targeting Vespiquen for big damage. Sonic attempts a stab breaking swipe on both enemies, but we get outsped. Mothim fires off a stab Bug Buzz and kills Sonic. No, not our main character. Where's the plot armor when you need it? Rollout continues and brings Vespiquen into the red, but she hits back with revenge, triggering Iblis Oranberry. At this point, Iblis is on a timer. He's locked into Rollout, almost dead, and can't stop unless he misses. I send in Jet, hoping his stab airways can knock out Mothim before it finishes Iblis. It doesn't. Mothim survives in the red, and a quick Bug Buzz kills Iblis. Another brutal loss. Vespiquen also hits hard with an attack on Jet, activating his Oranberry. I bring Roy back in. Together, Rogue and Jet double team and take down both remaining threats, finally clearing the board. Berg now sends out Heracross and Excavalier. With Excavalier likely targeting Roy with Razor Shell, I swap her out for Bark to resist. Heracross, no problem. Jet outspeeds and then a quad effective hit, one-shotting it. Excavalier goes for Metal Burst, but since we didn't attack it, it completely whiffs. Then come Berg's ace, Liverni. With both enemies likely to focus their bug type attacks on Bark, I pivot him out for Knuckles, ready to tank whatever comes his way. Jet hits Liverni to 1 HP, Focus Sash of course, and Knuckle tanks 2 incoming attacks like a champ. Now, expecting another Razor Shell, I swap Knuckles for Bark again to resist it, and Jet finishes off the humanoid-looking Mantis. Only Excavalier remains. Assuming it'll use Tornado on a weaker Pokemon, I swap for Roy, but thanks to Shell Armor and that massive defense, Excavalier stalls hard. We rotate our team carefully, looking for the safest way to finish him off without risking any more life. Eventually, we go for it. Kura barely clings on in the red, but lands the final blow for the KO. Our third gym badge is secured, but the death box grows even heavier. After evolving 3 of our Pokemon with the new level cap, we meet up with Chorus. He shows off his fancy tech and immediately challenges us to a battle. This guy can be tricky, with a bunch of annoying counters lined up. He leaves with Magnemite, so I send in Knuckles. Thanks to Sturdy, it survives the first hit, but back-to-back stab heat crashes absolutely incinerate it. Next is Matane. Since he's packing Bulldoze and holding an Occa Berry, I swap into Rosie. 2 super effective bites later and it's down. Third is Fan Rotom. It's got Signal Beam, which is bad news, so I bring in Roy to quad resist it. That then let us bait out a Thunderbolt, giving Knuckles a safe switch in thanks to the new ground typing. I go for an attack, but we flinch from Air Slash. Great. We're way too slow to stay in, so I pivot into Jet to soak another Air Slash, then bait another Thunderbolt. This time, Bark swaps in to resist. Luckily, Grass Whistle lands. While it's asleep, a couple of Venoshock bring it to the red, before it wakes up and slams us hard, putting Bark into the danger zone. We're still faster though, and one more Venoshock finishes it. Then comes the real pain, Porygon 2. With an EV Light and Recover, this thing's a tank. Risky, but I go for another Grass Whistle. And we connect. I go into Blaze, and after stalling and chipping it down bit by bit, we finally take out this annoying digital duck. Last is Clink. Knuckle returns, and one Heat Crash deletes it from existence. Honestly, this battle went way better than I expected. We made it through Deathless, and Chorus rewards us with a Life Orb. Easily the best item we gotten so far. And with that, it's time to begin the hunt for more Pokemon. First stop, Desert Resort, where we find Honey the Drifloon, potentially crucial for future fights thanks to support moves like Hypnosis and Will-O-Wisp. Next, we head into the Relic Castle, and there we catch Wave the Cubone. Could be a sweep against Alisa? Yeah. Probably not. Moving on to Nabasa City, we get ambushed by Lenora and her husband, another pair of retired gym leaders coming back just to ruin a kid's dream. This fight, absolutely brutal. They live with Gigalith, who sets up Sandstream, and Stoutland, who has Sand Rush, meaning double speed in a sandstorm. Yeah, this is going to hurt. We start with a fake out on the Rocky Menace for the flinch, while Bark barely holds on against Stoutland's strike, but somehow we connect the Grass Whistle, putting the rampaging canine straight to sleep. I swap Bark for Knuckles and fire off a stab Bubble Beam at Gigalith, dropping it at just below half, thanks to that annoying sandstorm boosting his special defense. Gigalith retaliates with a rock slide, but we manage to tank it pretty well. Next turn, another bubble beam drowns the Bulldog, while Knuckles Heat Crash slams the still sleeping Stoutland hard. They send in Machamp, predicting a cross poison into Blaze, a swapper for Roy to resist. But I messed up. The K9 wakes up and lands a stab crit strength, and Roy goes down. Knuckles doesn't let it slide. He immediately avenges our fallen bat with a massive Heat Crash and tanks the cross poison like a champ. I send in Jet as they reveal the last Pokemon and Pheasant. Jet targets Machamp with a stab aerial ace, hoping for the one shot, but sadly it survives. Then Hyper Voice boosted by a normal gem hits both of us hard. We retaliate with Heat Crash, and thankfully the bird drops instantly. Not gonna lie, I thought Jet was done for. Machamp connects an Ice Punch, and somehow Jet lives on 5 HP. The Oran Berry kicks in just in time to help us barely survive the Sandstorm chip too. We're hanging on by a thread until I forgot the one move that ruins everything. Machamp has Bullet Punch. It moves first, lands the hit, and we lose Jet. With 2 teammates falling right in front of him, Knuckles snaps. He launches a final furious blow to obliterate Machamp. It's rough losing 2 more teammates, but we're bouncing back fast by bolstering a box with new recruits. Starting on Route 5, we pick up Mighty the Bufalon, a heavy-hitting physical threat. Then on Route 16, we find Mother the Glameow. Thanks to her limp ability, she's immune to paralysis, which might be clutch in the next gym battle. Moving into Lostland Forest, we catch Ray the Mockery. Not super useful right now, but he could be a game changer later. Maybe even against Elite 4. Ooh, some legendaries. Wait, no, don't leave me! Thankfully, the clown's back in Anvil Town, and he cheers us up with a surprise gift, a Hoenn starter. I grab Storm the Mudkit because let's be real, Swampert is gonna carry against Elisa and Clay. With as much prep as possible, it's finally time to face our old arch nemesis Elisa, and this time, she's cranked it up. It's our first triple battle. Not only do all her Pokemon have Discharge, a powerful spread move, but many of them benefit from electric type attacks through abilities like Motor Drive and Volt Absorb. This battle can drain you fast. She leads with Electivire, Lantern, and Emolga. I send in the trio ready to open up with the infamous fake out spam. Blaze flinches Electivire, Mother flinches Lantern, and Emolga left to harmlessly discharge, ineffective against our team. Plus, she can't hit Blaze with Air Slash because they're too far apart. 3 turns secured. I thought Mother couldn't be paralyzed thanks to Limber. Turns out she gets Fake Fat after evolving. Bit of a bummer. Still, Bark lands a clutch Grass Whistle on Lantern, and with Focus Fire, Electivire, the biggest threat right now. I pivot Bark out for Knuckles, expecting an incoming Ice Punch. Bonus, he's immune to Emolga's next discharge. Blaze's Mud Shot lands, though a Shaco Berry weakens the blow. At least we drop his speed. Mother breaks through paralysis and slashes Emolga hard. Lantern's still asleep, but just in case it wakes up, I swap Knuckles for Storm. He also resists discharge. Unfortunately, Mother barely survives a crit, and a follow-up still doesn't KO Electivire. It fires back a crit on Blaze, but then Mother clutches up, taking down Emolga with one final slash. Elisa then brings in Zebstrika. Now, this might sound cruel, but to keep my other mons safe, I choose to sacrifice Mother, and so she goes down to a Flare Blitz. Blaze misses a Mud Shot, but Storm bulldozes the whole field. Blaze resists, Electivire drops, and the rest take solid damage. Lantern wakes up, but his discharge is easy to tank now that Mother's gone. I send in Knuckles as Elisa brings out Stunkfish. Anticipating a Sludge Bomb, I pivot Blaze out for Bark, and he resists it cleanly. Storm shrugs off a high horsepower, and thanks to the earlier bulldoze, Knuckle outspeed and drop both Lantern and Zebstrika. Stunfish discharge, still pathetic. Storm fires back with Avalanche for nearly half his health. And finally, out comes a Grass Knot Raichu with an air balloon. This round's dangerous for Storm, so I pivot him for Blaze, who takes the hit easily. Roselia wipes Stunfish with a Leaf Tornado, and then bam! One Heat Crush from Knuckles takes out Raichu too. 4th gym badge secured, and only 1 death. That's our best record yet. With the new level cap set at 45, almost every Pokemon we catch from this point onward can be fully evolved right away. Heading toward Driftveil City, we cross the drawbridge, only to be stopped by an actual Elite 4 member, who just casually hands us the armor and skull fossils. Then, ooh, it's another legendary, and it's gone. Another potential monster slips through our fingers. Thankfully, we bounce back quickly by catching Emerald the Ducklet, a fast, special attacking water type that's immune to Earthquake, perfect for the next gym. Normally, the clay tunnel isn't accessible until post-game, but here, it's open, and we find Fang the Sand Slash. Sadly, no Sand Rush, bit of a letdown. On Route 6, we add Maria the Chinchou to the squad, definitely a future MVP for Skylar. Then, in Chargestone Cave, we catch Gerald the Diglett, and this one has the hidden ability Sand Force, that's going to synergize beautifully with Clay's infinite Sandstorm. Surprise, surprise, my best friend returns, and this time, he gives us the Sinnoh starters. I pick Tickle the Chimchar, a fast, hard-hitting firefighting type, yes please. After evolving a few members of the team, we're forced into a battle with Root to advance the story, and his team is no joke. He leads with a Bufalon, a monster thanks to Reckless powering up its stab head charge. Tickle goes in with Cross Chop, but a Chapel Berry lets Bufalon survive and retaliate hard, bringing us to the red. One more hit finishes it off. Next is Chandelure, but that's most something fishy. I pivot into Rosie to an extra sensory, which Chandelure shouldn't have. Yep, it's a Zoroark with illusion. Now, expecting Grass Knot, I U-turn into Knuckles. Unfortunately, we take a crit on the switch, triggering our citrus berry. Then we eat a sucker punch and miss the hammer arm. On the second try, it connects, barely, leaving Zorak at 1 HP thanks to a focus sash. We're slower, so I pivot back into Rosie on another extra sensory and finish it off with one clean bite. And then the bloodbath begins, with Rosie Moxie boosting our attack stat after every KO. She swooped through the real Chandelure and Swoobat in a single hit each. But then comes Stoutland. Intimidate drops our attack, and our Stab Dig doesn't quite one-shot it. It hits back with Ice Fang, and I'm terrified, but thankfully, it doesn't do much as I feared, and Life Orb Recall finishes it off for us. And with that, it's time to face what is easily the most brutal gym battle we've encountered so far. Clay doesn't just have a powerful team, we're also fighting in a permanent sandstorm, which means his sword dancing Sand Rush Excadrill is going to be absolutely diabolical. And that's not even the worst part, he's also packing a Life Orb Sheer Force Nidoking and a Yacha Berry Garchomp. This is going to be hell. Clay leaves with Seismitoad, and I open with Bark. Luckily, a quad effective Leaf Tornado boosted by Miracle Seed barely overcomes the Rindo Berry for a clean one-hit KO. Next up is Nidoking. Expecting an Ice Punch, I pivot into Maria to resist. That baits out Earth Power, which gives me a free switch into Emerald. But here's the thing, I get Emerald and never melt ice instead of a Life Orb, which was a mistake. That 20% ice boost just isn't enough. So instead of attacking, I pivot into Gerald on a predicted Thunderbolt, and he's holding onto the Life Orb, with Sand Force giving us an additional 30% boost. A Stand Bulldoze demolishes Nidoking in one clean hit. Third is Torterra, and this thing's packing Woodhammer. Bark comes back out to resist. Unfortunately, we get critted. Not good. I go for a risky Grass Whistle, hoping to buy a turn, but it misses, and with one more slam, Bark goes down. I send in Emerald, banking on a boosted Icy Wind to handle Torterra. It doesn't KO, but Torterra misses a terrifying head smash. One more hit from us, and Torterra's gone. But now, the real nightmare begins. It's time for Excadrill. This thing is horrifying. Sword Dance, Sand Rush, Air Balloon. My only real play here is to go for Aqua Jet. Emerald connects for Chip, but to my surprise, Excadrill sets up Sword Dance, letting us land another hit to bring it to half HP, before Emerald is instantly wiped out by a Rock Slide. This is a terrifying position, but I send in Tickle. With Iron Fist and a Muscle Band, a boosted Mark Punch actually KOs the Excadrill. Huge relief, but it's not over yet, because here comes Mamoswine, Fig Fat, Passion Berry, insane power. There's no clean way to one-shot this tank. I pivot into Storm, the bulkiest mon I have to absorb the Earthquake. He takes a well, activating a Citrus Berry and strikes back with Hammer Arm, dropping Mamoswine to just below half. One more Earthquake comes in, and Storm holds on with 1 HP. Absolutely incredible. A final strike, and Mamoswine is down. And at last, the beast arrives, Garchomp. To get a safe switch, I sacrifice Storm, who goes down to an extreme speed. I bring in Gerald. We outspeed, land a powerful Bulldoze, and drop Garchomp's speed before Gerald falls to a brutal Dragon Claw. It was a noble sacrifice, because that speed drop was just what we needed for Tickle to come in, outspeed Garchomp, and finish it off with Cross Chop. And with that, we claim our 5th gym badge, but lose even more of our precious team in the process. After accidentally wandering onto Team Plasma's free gate, I finally make my way to Mistrolton City. Along the way, we pick up the Surf HM from Cheren, and inside Mistrolton Cave, I encounter Tierra the Larvitar. With the level cap now at 55, we can evolve her straight into an almighty Tyranitar, and her powerful rock typing is going to be a massive asset against Kyla. Just as we're about to enter Chargestone Cave, Eggman blocks the path and immediately challenges us to a battle, and his team never been stronger. He leaves with Swallow, sussing out Maria. Unexpectedly, Swallow U-turns into Lilligant, which actually works in our favor. I Volt Switch into Tickle, and with Lilligant already damaged, we bypass the Focus Sash, one Fire Punch, and she's gone. Swallow comes back out, but a single Thunder Punch drops her instantly. Next is a Lead Trick with Levitate, so I spec an Aqua Tail and pivot into Blaze to resist. After a Fake Out, a Feast Up Energy Balls are enough to bring it down without much hassle. Then comes his ace Samurott. We outspeed, and one clean hit destroys it before it can make a move. Last but not least is Flygon. With a Life Orb, this thing is terrifying, but since it's now a Bug Dragon type, I switch it to Honey to resist the incoming lunge. Flygon outspeed next turn, and there's a devastating stab Dragon Claw, but we fire back with a super effective Air Slash, bringing it into the red. With Honey on the verge of death, I pivot into Tickle, who barely takes the next hit, and once again, the Life Orb recoil finishes Flygon off. It was close, no death this time, but that might be the last moment of peace we get for a while, so let's enjoy it while it lasts. Once we arrive in Mistrolton City, Professor Juniper surprises us with a Master Bolt, a huge gift. From there, it's time to bolster our box again with some serious encounters. First, on Route 7, we find Vanilla the Zebstriker, a lightning fast electric type who'll be perfect for the upcoming gym. Then, inside the Celestial Tower, we catch Zoomon the Litwick, a strong special attacker with tons of potential. Before we take on Skylar, there's actually a mini boss battle against Chorus, right outside the steps of Twist Mountain. And man, he put out some next level Pokemon. Like, what even is that? This thing could even fit on the screen. But this abomination was no match. Rosie outspeeds and lands a super effective stab Earthquake, boosted by a Life Orb, and it gets absolutely obliterated. Thanks to Moxie, our next target, this weird looking robot, seriously, I don't even know what that's supposed to resemble, gets one shot too. Alright, next up, a UFO. Great, now we're finding some kind of spiky blimp from outer space. It's electric and flying type, so I go for a stab bite, but it takes a hit and fires back with a devastating Aeroblast. Still, one more bite finishes it off. Finally, Korra sends a shiny monstrosity that also doesn't fit on the screen. It's holding an air balloon, so I pivot into Blaze to safely eat up an incoming earthquake. We get a fake out, but then take solid damage from a wild charge. I accidentally use Energy Ball, which isn't very effective, so I swap into Fang, predicting another wild charge, and it works. The Kachi looking beast tried to set up with shift gear, but it's already over. One stab earthquake sends this thing straight to Tokyo Bay. With that out of the way, it's time to face Skylar, and apparently this one is one of the trickiest fights in the game. It's a triple battle, and our flying types are blazing fast with tons of utility. So let's hope we don't lose too many team members here. She lives with Pidgeot, Glasscore, and Jumpluff, and I send out what I thought would be the perfect trio to counter them. Tickle outspeeds all three and immediately nudes Jumpluff with a charcoal boosted fire punch. Unfortunately, this leaves her wide open to retaliation. If the Striker Volt Switch could take out Pidgeot, we'd be safe, but of course, Pidgeot survives on a silver. I expected Glasscore to go for Earthquake, so I switch in Honey to immune it. The move hits everyone else, dealing massive damage. Then, Pidgeot follows up with Hurricane, finishing off Tikal, one of the best Pokemon on our team, gone. Thankfully, Tiara comes in clutch with quite effective Ice Punch, obliterating Gliscor, and the Sandstorm finishes off Pidgeot. The right side of the field is clear, but not for long. In comes the real nightmare, Swanna, Aerodactyl, and Togekiss, all at once. Aerodactyl is the scariest by far. It outspeeds a whole team and hits like a truck, with coverage for everything. To stop it before it goes on a rampage, I go for a risky Hypnosis with Honey, while Rosie swaps in for Tiara to take a predicted Earthquake, but Aerodactyl throws a curveball, a devastating head smash right into Honey, and she goes down. It's tragic, but Vanilla surprises us by one-shotting Swanna with a quite effective Volt Switch. That eliminates Swanna's Friend Guard, which has been boosting the bulk of her teammates. Maria joins the fight. Togekiss fires off a super effective Dazzling Gleam, chunking Rosie down to a Citrus Berry. And now, I'm facing a brutal decision. Aerodactyl is going to outspeed whatever we send in, and probably one-shot it too. I'll go with Tiara for her bulk, Aerodactyl goes for Brave Bird, and that's all it takes to take out Rosie. Another massive loss. Even worse, Maria can't kill Aerodactyl in one hit because of its Focus Sash. I Volt Switch into Vanilla, as Dazzling Gleam brings Tiara down below half. Finally, Stone Edge connects, and Aerodactyl goes down. Only one remains, Togekiss. It's now a 3v1. Easy, right? Wrong. Vanilla's too far away to target Togekiss directly, and her only option is Discharge, which would also hit Tiara. And with the Life Orb boost, there's a real chance Tiara wouldn't survive the collateral damage. I'll go with plan B. Try Volt Switch with Vanilla, miss, and hope Maria can finish Togekiss off. But no luck. The Welcome Berry softens the hit, and with Tiara slower than Togekiss, she's taken out by another attack. And that's 4 Pokemon down. Thankfully, Togekiss only has neutral damage against our remaining team. After a few annoying Protect stalls, we finally take it out. We earn our 6th gym badge, but it came at a devastating cost. More than half our team is gone. After that gruesome battle, I decided to give myself a little holiday and flew over to Lentimus Town. Heading into Reversal Mountain, I encountered Vector the Skarmory, an incredible pickup, with top tier physical defense and a typing that grants ton of resistance and immunity. Then, inside the Strange House, I caught Snively the Curlier. As since fairy typing exists in this game, I naturally evolve him into the majestic Gardevoir. While making our way through Reversal Mountain, Bianca decided she wanted to test my skills, before letting me join her on a date. Yep, a battle first, romance later. And this one's no joke. Bianca's team features all 3 universe starters and a demonic Haxorus, plus excellent type coverage across the board. To make things worse, it's a double battle, which makes planning a nightmare. She lives with Minshao and Mashana, and I open with Vector and Zumom. Minshao outspeeds both of us and hit us with Rock Slide. Thankfully, we tank it. Vector retaliates with a Stab Drill Peck, but of course, Minshao clings on with a Focus Sash. Zumom flinches, but at least Mashana only hit us with a weak side shock. I was seriously relieved. If she had gone for Reflect or Light Screen instead, things could have gotten real bad. Next turn, we take out Moonshell with another Drill Peck, and Zumom lands a Spell Attack Booster Shadow Ball to obliterate Moonshana. But here comes the real problem, Emboar and Haxorus. Expecting a Flare Blitz, I switch Vector into Knuckles to resist, and Zumom into Blaze, since Zumon's about to drop, but it goes sideways fast. Haxorus lands a Dragon Gem boosted Dragon Claw on Blaze, dropping her into the red. Emboar follows up with a Head Smash, and Blaze is gone. I send a Maria to bait out a Horsepower from Emboar, then swap out for Vector to dodge it entirely. Haxorus targets Knuckles, dealing heavy damage, but Knuckles retaliates with Earthquake, knocking out Emboar. Next up is Samurott. Anticipating a water move on Knuckles, I bring Maria back in to tank it. Haxorus hits her hard with Dragon Claw, so I need to switch again. And with little choice, I send in Knuckles back out. He barely hangs on, but Vector steps up again and sends Haxorus to the Shadow Realm. Samurott tries a Mega Horn and misses, which honestly, we might have survived anyway. Bianca's final Pokemon is superior. Aquajet can finish Knuckles, so I'll switch him for Snively, who tanks both incoming attacks decently. A Stab Drill Peck from Vector brings Superior below half before activates a Citrus Berry. Snively's in danger now, so I'll swap him for Zumon. Luckily, Superior misses attack, and one more hit from Vector finishes the Dragon Snake off. Samurai goes for Mega Horn again, but against Zumon's Flame Body, bad move. He gets burned. Expecting Aqua Jet, I swap Zumon out, but it wasn't even necessary. Since Samurai is a water fighting type in this game, a final Drill Peck easily finishes him off. And you know what that means. We officially landed ourselves a date. What better spot for it than a volcanic mountain? Nothing saves romance like a near-death experience and lava. Sadly, Bianca ditches us immediately, after a little volcanic gateway. But hey, at least we made it to Undella Town, home of the beach resort. Perfect for a much needed break. But of course, just as I'm about to kick back, Cynthia pops out of nowhere. Thankfully, it's not a battle. She just hands us the waterfall HM and disappears. Crisis averted. Or so I thought. Because before I can even touch the water, I'm really interrupted by an ever-annoying rival Eggman. Luckily, his team hasn't changed much, and we hand him an easy deathless win. With that out of the way, it's time to rebuild our box, considering we just lost more than half our team recently. In Undella Town, we catch Gamma the Staryu. Over on Route 14, we find Thrash the Swablu, who's now a Dragon Fairy type, perfect for Drayden's dragons. Inside Seaside Cave, we snag Zik the Tynamo, and in Undella Bay, which counts as a separate area, we pick up Chocolate the Horsey. Lastly, on Route 13, we meet Mina the Wingle. Before heading to Opposite City, we run into Zinzolin and his goon for a tag battle with Eggman. But let's be real, it was mostly me. We smashed them into the ice, and they scurry off like the cockroaches they are. But now, the real threat shows up. Banger, Elder's grandson. Normally, he's a post-game boss, but in this game, we fight him early on Route 12, before even reaching Village Bridge. And just look at this crack-out team. Set up demons like Garchomp, Gyarados, and Volcarona, a Guts Conkeldurr, Focus Sash Metagross, and an Embolt with freaking V-Create. This is going to be brutal. He lives with Metagross, so I send in Knuckles. A Stab Earthquake drops him to 1 HP, surviving with his Focus Sash. He throws out an Ice Punch, we eat it, and a second Earthquake takes him down. Next is Gyarados, and this thing has a quad-effective waterfall. I pivot into Vanilla, we tank a hit, outspeed, and land a Spark. Weakened by a Wakan Berry. Of course, he sets up a Dragon Dance, which is terrifying, but weirdly, he goes for Power Whip, triggering a Sap Sipper ability, giving us an attack boost. That misplay gets him deleted next turn. Third is Garchomp. Expecting Earthquake, I swap into Gamma, who instead takes a Dragon Claw, leaving us below half. He's not holding onto a Yacha Berry, and we outspeed with a Life Orb boosted, quad effective Aurora Beam, Garchomp goes down. Now for Embolt, who's holding a Pasture Berry and has Sucker Punch, I switch Gamma out for Vector, who dodges Earthquake completely. Expecting a Wild Charge, I pivot into Knuckles, but no, it's a V-Create, a 180 base power, sun-powered Meteor of Pain. It hits like a truck, even though it's not very effective. Thankfully, it drops Embolt speed and defense, letting us outspeed and KO with Earthquake. Then comes Volcarona, who sets up with Quiver Dance, and gets immediately one shot. Last is Conkeldurr. I bring in Victor, who takes a Drain Punch thanks to that ridiculous bulk. We outspeed and go for Fly, letting the burn chip him a bit. The hit doesn't KO, and he fights back hard, but one more Fly finishes him off. And just like that, we beat Benga, a post-game level boss, deathless. With Benga out of the way, we squeeze in a few more encounters before taking on the next gym. First up, on Route 12, we catch Robo the Staravia. Then, underneath the village bridge, we run into Tempest the Lapras, another fantastic counter for Drayden's dragons. Next, on Route 11, we find Dulcie the Azumarill. And yes, she's rocking huge power, which is amazing. Finally, on Route 9, we pick up Sally the Mulga to round things out. And with that, it's time to face off against Drayden and his fearsome dragons for badge number 7. He lives with Latias and Charizard. Yep, we're fighting a freaking legendary. I send in Dulcie and Thrash. Latias threatens Dulcie with Thunderbolt, but thanks to her bulk, we tank it. Barely, losing half our health. Charizard follows up with a weak Shadow Claw on Thrash, who shrugs it off and sets up a Dragon Dance. We're gonna need that boost for what's coming. Luckily, a Stab Play Rough, boosted by Life Orb, one-shots Latias. Haxorus is next. Not only does it hold a berry to weaken Dragon type moves, but it also knows Cross Poison, which threatens both our mons. It's risky, but I'm banking on it targeting the lower health mon, so I pivot Dulcie out for Vector. Thanks to the earlier speed boost, Thrash outspeeds and lands another Play Rough, chunking Haxorus hard. As predicted, Cross Poison is aimed at Vector, who's immune, and Charizard goes for another weak Shadow Claw. Now, expecting a Fire Lash on Vector, I switch him out for Gamma to resist. Then, Thrash finishes off Haxorus with one more hit. Next up is Flygon, holding a Life Orb and is rocking Giga Drain, so I swap Gamma back out for Vector, who quad resisted. Our Fairy attack only brings Flygon to the red, but instead of attacking, it goes for Quiver Dance. That speed boost is concerning, but we keep the pressure up. From here, it's a cycle, swapping Gamma and Vector based on what's coming, while Thrash dishes out damage. Eventually, one more clean hit takes out Flygon. Then comes Sceptile. With no good move against Thrash, we stick to the plan. It takes a few turns, and we do have to chew through a painful Focus Sash, but Thrash takes it down too. Everything's going suspiciously well, until Charizard finally decides to be useful. It lands a crit Shadow Claw, and just like that, Vector falls. A crushing loss. He was such a key player for future fights. Last out is Salamence. I send in Tempest. With Thrash's attack lowered, I opt for Moonblast instead, which drops Salamence below half. It responds with a Dragon Dance, and Charizard tosses in a Rock Slide, which doesn't hurt much, but of course, Tempest flinches. Thankfully, with Ice Shard on deck, we move first next turn and take out Salamence. And now, it's just Charizard, who's been on the field since turn 1. A Dragon Pulse brings it to the red, and one final combo from both our mons finally toss the Lizard. Thus Gym Badge 7 secured, and only one loss this time. As soon as we step outside the gym, Team Plasma starts bombarding the world with gigantic icicle crashes. Dramatic much. To make it worse, they force me into battle. But honestly, their Pokemon are a joke. All single battles, nothing threatening, even Zinzolin was free. After slipping past the fish-filled chaos, we finally arrive in Humalel City, ready to fight for our final gym badge. Now, Marlon runs a water-type gym, and surprise surprise, it's another double battle. Even better, we're dealing with permanent rain, powering up all of his Swift Swim Pokemon. This is going to be difficult. Marlon leads with Ludicolo and Poliwrath, both rocking Swift Swim. I send out Thrash and Snively. Thankfully, Thrash has Cloud 9, which eliminates weather effects. No more speed boost for them. Expecting an Ice Beam from Ludicolo, I go for Protect with Thrash. Snively, now faster, fires off a Stab Moonblast, and one-shots Poliwrath before it can land a Poison Jab. Next up is Kingdra, another Swift Swim monster, but again, no speed boost thanks to Thrash. Snively outspeeds once more and KOs Kingdra. Ludicolo does land an Ice Beam on Thrash, dropping him to half, and of course, we get frozen. Starmie enters next, holding a Rinderberry to weaken grass moves. Ice Beams are likely flying at us from both sides, so I pivot Thrash into Maria to resist, while Snively goes for Hypnosis on Ludicolo, but we miss. Predicting a Giga Drain on Maria, I switch her back for Thrash, who takes the hit and triggers his Citrus Berry. Meanwhile, Hydro Pump lands on Snively, but we take it decently. Thankfully, the next Hypnosis connects, putting Ludicolo to sleep. With Ludicolo snoozing, I swap Maria back to eat another Ice Beam from Starmie. An Energy Ball drops Starmie to half. At this point, Maria is safe, but Snively isn't. A Game Ball surviving another Hydro Pump, and loss. It crits, and Snively goes down. A Signal Beam brings Ludicolo to the red, and I send in Vanilla. We should outspeed and clean up, but Ludicolo wakes up immediately, and with Swift Swim now active again, one-shots Vanilla. It's sad, but at least we take Ludicolo down right after. Next up is Kabutops. Swift Swim and Focus Sash, great. I send out Zeke, but I need a free switch, so I make the hard call to sacrifice Maria. Kabutops outspeed and goes for Rock Slide. Zeke dodges, but Maria goes down. Starmie hits Zeke with Psychic, but he holds on and fights back with Giga Drain, finally eliminating it and healing up a bit. Last out is Pelipper, and I send in Soundly. Look, I know she's basically a guaranteed death here. Pelipper has a Wakan Berry to weaken electric moves, and Kabutop is still sitting on a Focus Sash, so a sacrifice had to be made. Sally tanks a Rock Slide with a Silver of Health and fires off Discharge. It hits both enemies hard, and Zeke too, even paralyzing him, of course. Pelipper follows up with Muddy Water, and Sally finally drops. But clutching it out as always, Zeke bypasses Paralysis and fires off one last stab Discharge, wiping the field. Final badge secured, but we lose 4 Pokemon along the way. Before wrapping up the rest of Team Plasma's storyline, I need to recover from our recent losses. On Route 22, we encountered Lara the Meanfu, and inside the Giant Chasm, we caught Zavok the Sneasel, both fast, hard-hitting physical attackers, a much needed boost to the squad. After navigating through Seaside Cave, we reached Team Plasma's ship. I made my way through the wall panels and fought off every grunt until reaching Zinzolin. And yep, it's another double battle with Zinzolin and his goon, and of course, with Eggman by my side. This first fight, no problem at all, but the real challenge? The final battle against Zinzolin. This time, it's just a 1v1, but still a double battle format, and it's much more dangerous. He leads with Vanilluxe, who sets up Hail with Snow Warning. That means his entire team now has 100% accurate Blizzard. Next, Zinzolin sends in a Snowcloak Frost Slash. Luckily, Lara outspeeds and immediately one-shot it with a Life Orb boosted Blaze Kick. Then, a single stab Flare Blitz takes out Vanilluxe too. So far, so good. Next up, Mamoswine and Wolverine, both threatening Knuckles with super effective moves, so I pivot him out for Mina to resist. Lara hits Mamoswine with another Blaze Kick, and it crits, completely annihilated. Then comes Weavile. With Life Orb, she's a huge threat. Expecting a Blizzard from Wolverine, I pivot Mina into Zoomon to resist. Unfortunately, Lara gets crit by Weavile and brought it to the red, and then Wolverine finishes her off, and so Lara falls. I send in Zeke, but both enemy Pokemon threaten Zoomon, so I immediately swap her out for Mina again to take the hits. Weirdly, they both go for different attacks. Night Slash on Zeke, Blizzard on both, triggering both of our Citrus Berries. Zeke retaliates with a quad effective close combat on Weavile and takes her down. But now, with the defense drop, Zeke's in danger, so I switch him out for Knuckles, predicting another Blizzard. We take it comfortably. Then, just to be safe, I pivot Mina back in, but we didn't need to worry. A critical hit cross chop from Knuckles obliterates Wolverine, sealing the win. The next battle is against Chorus, a fighter I honestly tend to overestimate. He specializes in steel and electric types, and while his team may look intimidating, they don't really carry much coverage. With a few smart switches and good prep, this one's pretty straightforward. It's now a single battle, so we can play it methodically, sending out the perfect counter for each mon, one by one. With Chorus out of the way and all the lower rank grunts handled, it's finally time to face the true leader of Team Plasma, Getsis. His battle kicks off with a confrontation against Black Kuram, and then you're immediately thrown into a full battle with Gets's main team. No breaks, no team changes, so you absolutely need to plan for both fights in one go. Thankfully, I already got a strategy. My plan? Raw power. I lead with Zavok, and with a Life Orb, we can dish out serious damage. On turn 1, Brick Break connects for massive damage, while Kuram's terrifying Stab Fusion Bolt nearly finishes us. But we hang on. One more Brick Break and the beast falls. Now, Getsis himself. He leads with Gigas, and I keep Zorvak in, of course. He stalls with Protect on turn 1, but on the next, a critical Night Slash tears through him. Now comes Machamp, and with quite effective Dynamic Punch looming, I switch Zovek out for Gamma to resist. The move hits, and we're confused, but we push through it. A Stab Psychic, boosted by a Twisted Spoon, absolutely deletes Machamp. Third is Electros. Predicting a Wild Charge, I pivot into Knuckles, who completely nullifies it. And thanks to Mold Breaker, we ignore his Levitate and crush it with a single Earthquake. Fourth is Gyarados. I switch into Zeke, expecting a Waterfall. Gyarados then sets up a Dragon Dance. That's fine, because the moment he tries to act, we obliterate him with a quite effective Thunder Punch. Then comes Gets his Ace, Genesect. It opens with Bug Buzz, triggering a Citrus Berry. We fire back with Thunder Punch, and lucky us, we get a crit, dropping it into the red. Just in case another crit is coming our way, I play it safe. I swap Zeke for Knuckles to absorb the predicted follow-up. Genesect launches an Ice Beam, but Knuckles tank it with ease. One more hit, and Genesect is gone. Last is the monster, Hydreigon. This was risky, but trusting in Knuckles' bulk, I decided to go for it. He takes a devastating stab Dragon Pulse, dropping us low, but we survive, just barely. We retaliate with Cross Chop, and down goes Hydreigon. Guesses is defeated. With all 8 badges in hand and the main story behind us, it's time to head toward our final destination and collect the last of our encounters. On Route 23, we catch Flicky the Rufflet. Not the most exciting pickup, but we'll take what we can get. Then, inside Victory Road, we find Xantazwawal, I can't even pronounce his name. An incredible physical attacker, and with that dark typing, he'll be a huge asset against multiple Elite Four members. Normally, this is the point where we start prepping for the Pokemon League. But in Redux, there's a twist. Lance has created his own personal Elite Four at the end of Victory Road. We're forced to fight 2 weather-themed trainers back to back. One with Hail, the other with Sun. And those fights, we're allowed to adjust our team before facing another gauntlet. A Rain and Sandstorm trainer. Again, back to back. But fortunately, since they're all single battles, we end up wiping the floor with the wannabe Elite Fours. No losses, no drama, just domination. And like any good Elite Four, there's a champion waiting at the end. Lance. And his team of dragons is no joke. He packs insane coverage, speed, setup potential, all the things you expect from a true champion. But I built a counter team. A little unorthodox, but perfectly tailored to bring this man down. He opens with Aerodactyl, solely with Zavok. Even though he's holding a Focus Sash, our stab Triple Axle bypasses it by hitting 3 times in a row, and Aerodactyl is gone. Next up is Haxorus. We outspeed and let a critical Ice Punch, and the Dragon Menace is instantly deleted. Then comes Charizard, who threatens us with Fire Lash. I switch into Tempest. Even after a defense drop, she survives the next attack in the danger zone, triggers a Citrus Berry, and fires back with a super effective Dragon Pulse, critically hitting to drop Charizard in one shot. Fourth is Gyarados. Predicting a Stone Edge, I pivot into Zeke. Gyarados tried to set up a Dragon Dance, but it doesn't matter. Quite effective Thunder Punch wipes him out. Then comes Salamence. I bring in Thrash to immune the incoming Dragon move. With Salamence unable to hit us super effectively, I take the chance to set up a Dragon Dance. I was hoping that'd be enough to finish him off, but he barely hangs on after a play rough, and lands a dual Wing Beat to bring us to half. Still, one more hit and Salamence is done. Finally, Lance sent in his Dragonite. 2 clean stab play roughs later, and the champion's final Mon falls. Once we defeat Lance, there's still one final rival battle, standing in the way before we can prepare for the Elite Four, and his team has never been stronger. First up is Swallow, who immediately smacks Zeke with a normal gem boosted stab Boom Burst, dealing massive damage and triggering a Citrus Berry. But even with all that power, a single Thunder Punch from Zeke completely annihilates him. Second is Camerupt. I pivot into Mina, but it sets up Rock Polish, giving it a huge speed boost. Camerupt now outspeeds, and then a super effective Rock Climb, which we barely survive, but a quite effective Surf tears through even the Pasture Berry for the one-hit KO. Third is Electros. Like always, Knuckle comes in with Mold Breaker, ignores Levitate, and one-shots with Earthquake. Next is his ace Samurott, now part fighting type, as in Gamma, who easily tanks the expected Hydro Pump. A Stab Psychic boosted by a Twisted Spoon hits back for the clean KO. Fifth is Lilligant. With Focus Sash and annoying grass moves, I switch into Thrash to resist. Lilligant doesn't have anything threatening, so I take that opportunity to set up a few Dragon Dances before wiping it out with a Moonblast. Last up is Flygon. Thanks to yet another Focus Sash, it takes 2 hits, but eventually, Flygon goes down. With that, Eggman is finally defeated, and now, we officially made it to the Pokemon League. Only 5 battles stand between us and becoming the champion of this brutal run. Thankfully, unlike Renegade Platinum, the Elite Four in this game have set teams, so at least I know what I'm walking into. That said, it's not going to be easy. Marshall and Caitlyn are double battles, Chantel is a triple battle, and Iris, she has some absolute demons, a Focus Sash Alakazam, a hard-hitting Hydreigon, and oh yeah, a Latios. So yeah, this is nowhere near over. After thinking long and hard about it, I lock in the 6 specific Pokemon I believe give us the best possible chance to win it all. First up, we're taking on Chantel and her Ghost types, and it's a triple battle. If we lost any of our Pokemon before this point, this fight will be almost impossible. We need all 6 team members to pull through. She lives with Miss Magius, Gengar, and Sableye. Sableye opens with Trick, swapping Gamma's Life Orb for Lagging Tail. Not ideal, but thankfully, even with the speed drop, Gamma still managed to outspeed and one-shot Gengar with a Stab Psychic. Miss Magius hits both sides with Dazzling Gleam, which we take fairly well. Then, a combo of Moonblast and Shadow Ball lands, avoiding her Focus Sash, and takes Miss Magius out too. Next up, Goldlock and Jellicent. Gamma is basically guaranteed to move last now, so swap him out for Zavok, predicting a Ghost type attack. Zoom goes for Protect, expecting incoming super effective moves, and Thrash strikes first with a stab Moonblast on Sableye, bringing it to the red. Weirdly, Jellicent uses Icy Wind instead of Shadow Ball. Thrash tanks it well, though it drops her speed and activates a Citrus Berry. As expected, Goldlock Shadow Punch targets Zavok, but Shadow Claw also hits Thrash, bringing him below half. With Thrash now in danger, I pip him out for Gamma, hoping to sponge another Icy Wind. And we do. Sableye follows up with a Will-O-Wisp on Gamma, which is annoying, but manageable. Zavok then lands a strike to KO Sableye at last. Now, I take a risky gamble. Zuma goes for a stab Shadow Ball on Jellicent. It doesn't KO, and Jellicent fires back with a super effective Shadow Ball of its own. Zuma barely hangs on, but then Goldlock Shadow Punch connects, and Zuma goes down. Before falling though, Flame Body activates, burning Goldlock and halving its attack. Zuma's death was tragic, but necessary to get a clean switch. Now, I send in Zan, and Chantal sends out her final Pokemon, Chandelure. Zavok lands a critical hit Night Slash, and Chandelure goes down instantly. No time to threaten Gamma with a Fire-type move. Then, Zan follows up with a Crunch to eliminate Jellicent, leaving just a burnt Goldlock. He manages to land one Shadow Punch on Gamma, which we barely survive. We hit back with Surf, originally meant to cover Chandelure. Everyone gets chipped, and Zavok just barely hangs on. Finally, with Goldlock ready to fire Shadow Sneak, I swap Gamma for Zeke to tank the hit. One last cleanup attack later, Goldlock falls. I cannot tell you how relief I was to win this fight, only losing one Pokemon. That was hands down one of the most stressful fights I ever had in a Pokemon game. With Chantal defeated, I decided to take on Marshall next, who I honestly believe is one of the easiest Elite Four members, even easier than Grimsley's single battle. And I've got the perfect strategy for this fight, making the entire battle practically flawless. Marshall leads with a Focus Sash Infernape and Intimidate Hitmontop, while I send in Zovok and Gamma. With the attack drop from Intimidate, Zavok isn't here to do damage. He's here to bait. Since he's called weak to fighting moves, it's basically guaranteed that both opponents will target him. So, Zavok uses Protect, while Gamma outspeeds and unleashes a Stab Surf, boosted by a Life Orb. It brings Infernape low, but doesn't do much to Hitmontop, which is fine. The opponents predictably target Zavok, but Protects block both attacks. Next turn, Zavok outspeeds and finishes off Infernape with Night Slash, while Gamma's Psychic takes down Hitmontop cleanly. 2 down, 4 to go. Next up, Toxicroak and Lucario. Same play, Zavok protects again, and Gamma uses Surf, bringing both enemies to around half HP. Both opponents once again target Zovok, and once again, Protect saves him. But now, Zovok can't do much to these two, so I'll switch him out for Thrash, anticipating more fighting type moves. Thrash also resists Surf, which helps because Gamma next wave takes out Toxicroak and leaves Lucario in the red. Lucario retaliates with a close combat, but it barely dents Thrash. Marshall sends out Conkeldurr next. Now, both Lucario and Conkeldurr pose a serious threat to Thrash, and they're likely faster too, so I pivot him out for Zeke, hoping to take the hits with our bulk. But of course, Gamma lands a critical hit Surf on Zeke, bringing him dangerously low. And now, I'm gently begging that Conkeldurr doesn't target Zeke. He does, but thanks to our Citrus Berry, we barely survive a poison jab with 8 HP remaining. Last up is Breloom. Zeke is too low and too slow to safely stay in, so I'll switch him out for Thrash, assuming a Mark Punch is coming from Breloom. Sure enough, it is, and we tank it comfortably, even triggering our Citrus Berry. Weirdly, Conkeldurr goes for Mark Punch too, but he's already finished. A Stab Psychic from Gamma cleans him up easily. With only Breloom left, I pivot Thrash into Zan, just in case of another priority move, but it turns out unnecessary, because one more Psychic takes down Breloom, and just like that, we defeated Marshall, completely deathless. Now, it's time for another double battle, this time against Caitlyn and her Psychic types, and let me tell you, she's definitely a lot tougher than Marshall. She leads with Manshana and Slowbro, and I stick with the same leads from the previous battle, Zavok and Gamma. However, the strategy this time is a little different. We start off strong, a Stab Night Slash boosted by a Life Orb, lands a lucky crit and takes out Manshana in one clean hit. Gamma's Surf was meant to finish the job if needed, since Manshana has solid bulk, but it wasn't necessary. Zavok tanks the Surf comfortably, and Slowbro doesn't even get the chance to strike. Instead, he immediately swaps out thanks to his eject button, meaning we don't have to deal with his Fire Blast on Zoroark just yet. Caitlyn sends out Gallade and Darmanitan next. Not only do both of these Pokemon hold Life Orbs, but Darmanitan also has Sheer Force, making his Grass Knot absolutely terrifying for Gamma, so I pivot Gamma out for Zen, who resists both incoming threats. As Shadow Claw instantly wipes out Gallade, no worries there. I misplayed by forgetting that Darmanitan also has Focus Blast, but with his infamous 70% accuracy, we get lucky. He misses. Slowbro returns to the field at full HP thanks to Regenerator. Now that I know what attacks they're packing, I play safe. Zavok goes for Protect, assuming he's the easier target with his low HP. Zan hits Darmanitan with Crunch, bringing him below half. And, as predicted, Protect blocks both incoming attacks. On the next turn, since Protect is unlikely to work again, I switch Zoroark out for Thrash, assuming they're good for the same move we can now resist. Before that, however, another Crunch finishes off Darmanitan. Thrash thinks to Scald, but unfortunately gets burned. Then comes the scariest member of our team, Metagross. To get a safe switch, I decide to sacrifice Thrash. We first land a Moonblast on Slowbro, and then Zan finishes off with Crunch. As expected, Metagross responds with a Meteor Mash, and of course, it's a crit. Thrash falls. I send in Zorvac back in, and Caitlyn brings out her final Pokemon Xatu. With Zorvac still being the prime target, especially against Aura Sphere and Meteor Mash, I'll go for Protect again. It works. Both attack miss him. Hydreigon resists Xatu's Heat Wave, and then immediately takes Xatu out with a single hit. That just leaves Metagross. He's still dangerous, especially with Bullet Punch threatening Zavok, so I bring out Gamma, who comfortably resists it. Zan's Crunch pop Metagross Air Balloon and chunks his HP, and with none of our remaining Pokemon weak to Bullet Punch, a couple of clean hits from Gamma and Zan finally take down the Steel Menace, and with that, we defeated the last double battle in the entire game. With another Pokemon loss, these two last fights are going to be scary, but since they're both single battles, I got high hopes for the final 4 Pokemon on our team. Grimsy leads with Crocodile, who Intimidate is completely useless against Gamma. One stab Surf, boosted by Mystic Water, and Crocodile gets one shot no problem. Next is Drapion. Expecting a Night Slash, I pivot into Zavok to resist, but instead, a Night Daze comes our way. That means we're actually facing Azure Rock, thanks to its illusion ability. Knowing that, I fight back with a Brick Break, and that's enough to take it out in one clean shot. Third is Honchkrow. One stab Icicle Crash, and he's gone too. Fourth is Sharpedo. This one's dangerous. With Focus Sash and close combat, he will cause real problem. I swap into Zig to tank a Waterfall, which does a solid 111 HP in damage. I decide to risk it. Sharpedo hits another Waterfall, and we survive on 3 HP, just 1 HP more than the minimum roll we calculated. Our Citrus Berry activates, hitting us back up, and we fire off a super effective Leech Life, dropping Sharpedo to 1 HP and restoring a good chunk of health. Next turn, no flinch, and we land another Leech Life, Sharpedo goes down. Fifth is Tyranitar. I'm praying it doesn't go for Crunch and send in Gamma, but of course, it does go for Crunch. My heart was racing, but somehow, Gamma survives on 7 HP. Next turn, One Stab Surf absolutely annihilates the Godzilla wannabe. Last up is the real Drapion. Assuming a Dark type move is coming, I swap Gamma out for Zan, who eats the hit comfortably. Then comes across Poison, which hits hard for almost half HP, but we retaliate with a super effective Bulldoze, dropping Drapion speed. Now that we outspeed, one final hit, and this time, it's a crit. Drapion is down, and we win the battle. The final Elite Four member is defeated. After coming such a long way, there's only one more trainer standing between us and the champion title of Unova. Champion Iris is a final opponent, and thankfully, it's a single battle. She leads with a terrifying Dragon Grass Superior holding a Yacha Berry, so even a quad effective ice moves are weakened. But that's where Zorvac shines. A Life Orb boosted Icicle Crash tears free Superior for the one-hit KO, even with the berry. Second is Alakazam. Unfortunately, it's holding a Focus Sash, so we can't one-shot it, and it has Aura Sphere, which spells death for Zavok. I immediately pivot to Zig, who tanks the hit well. Alakazam then sets up a nasty plot, making his next move deadly, but a super effective Leech Life to bring it to 1 HP, and fully heal Zig in the process. It goes for Aura Sphere again, and somehow, miraculously, we survive with exactly 1 HP, triggering a Citrus Berry, one more Leech Life, and Alakazam goes down. Next up, Empoleon. I don't want to risk my other Pokemon just yet. Iris still has 2 Dragon types and a Fairy type left. I let Zig take the incoming Ice Beam, and he goes down in a noble sacrifice. In comes Zan. I set up a Dragon Dance, expecting an Ice Beam, but weirdly, Empoleon goes for Agility instead. I get in another Dragon Dance, and again, Empoleon just uses Agility. Either Iris knows I have a Yacha Berry, or the AI is bugging out. Flash Cannon hits us. Not great, but we're still alive. I go for Earthquake, but thanks to his Shaka Berry, Empoleon survives. Another Flash Cannon brings us to the red, but one more attack and Empoleon is finally down. Then, Iris sends in Togekiss. This is bad. I completely forgot to give Zen any move that hits Fairy type effectively, and this is the worst possible time for that mistake. We throw a pathetic Crunch, and Togekiss finishes off with Air Slash. I send in Gamma to avenge him. Gamma is holding a Never Melt Ice, and 1 Ice Beam is all it takes to obliterate Togekiss. Now comes her legendary ace, Latios. I go for Ice Beam, bring it to below half, but Latios fight back with Dragon Pulse, and we barely survive. I thought we outspeed, but then it hits Asper Wing first. I still don't know how that happened. It's not a priority move, but either way, Gamma goes down. We're down to 1 Pokemon, Zavok. Thankfully, we do outspeed, 1 Night Slash, and Latios is gone. Last is a Dragonite, her final, terrifying beast. He threatens us with Fire Punch. It's all or nothing. If we don't one-shot him, he's going to one-shot us. I go for Icicle Crash, and Dragonite survives on exactly 1 HP. But he flinched. Absolutely insane. One more Icicle Crash, and Dragonite falls. With only 1 Pokemon remaining, we defeated Champion Iris and officially become the champion of Unova. And with that, we completed a Pokemon Blaze Black 2 Redux Hardcore Nuzlocke. Hands down, this was the hardest Nuzlocke I ever played in my life. Even though we lost like a gazillion Pokemon along the way, I truly enjoyed every second of it. The challenges, the clutch moments, the heartbreaks, it was all an amazing experience. If you want to see more tough runs like this, let me know in the comments below. And that's all from me for now. Until next time, goodbye.